Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I will be your referee this evening, Ed Montana. Alongside me today, my formerly missing in action, now the ever-present, my brother Alex. Alex, how you doing?
Now, if I step into your space,
I'm gonna blow the whistle. Don't.
You're gonna tee me up.
Yes, don't.
I'm gonna stay away.
Don't cut into my space.
I'm gonna. What is it? Wait, I can't. I don't.
This is my space.
I can't see.
This is my space. Don't step into my space, bro.
I can't see it. Tweet. Did you watch the Game of Thrones?
No, I don't know anything about Game of Thrones.
Good. Next topic.
Spoiler alert. Hey, stay out of my space.
Oh, sorry. I can't get into game. I've never watched it. I don't plan on watching it, and we're not gonna go any more deeper into it. I just don't get all the fuss about an imaginary fantasy type of.
I don't know. It's just how it is. Every year, every couple of years, there's a show that kind of captures people, and this year I guess it's Game of Thrones. Because aren't they like in season 6 or some shit?
If you say so, man. I really don't.
I don't understand how it's going 6 seasons, and I have not heard about it until like this year.
I don't know. Have you watched the Avengers?
Not yet.
You're gonna wait. You're gonna watch the Avengers?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, I'm surprised.
I mean,
wait, are you gonna watch it while it's out in the theaters? Or are you gonna watch it 3 years from now?
No. We're talking about going to the theater to watch it.
I'm impressed.
But here, well, don't be impressed yet. Let's wait until because I heard this thing is like a day-long movie, right? Like it's
3 hours.
That's a day.
That's a day. Yes.
Right. That's
so people that don't watch movies at theaters. 3 hours is.
That's a full day.
That's it.
That's a full day. Like
fair enough.
Right. I
agree.
So I don't know. I'm gonna try, but I just don't know that I'm gonna make it. I can't sit in the dark for 3 hours and not fall asleep. I'll tell you what. If it's not good, if it's not action packed in the first 30 seconds, I'm fucked.
We don't have too many things in common. Sorry. We don't have too many things in common, but I'm with you. I mean, there needs to be like some catastrophe happening in the first 5 minutes for me to like really be into it.
You don't think we have a lot in common?
No.
I'm
well,
good
besides
looking.
sports now.
You're not.
Yeah. You're an accountant. I'm not.
I'm an accountant. You don't know how to count. I don't know. It's funny. Like when people ask me about you, I go, my brother and I are a lot alike, and then I think, no, we're not a lot.
I don't think we are.
I think we have a lot of things are kind of the same, but then a lot of things kind of aren't.
Yeah. Both got big foreheads.
Yours is getting bigger by the day.
But yours is the biggest.
No.
See, you got hair to cover it down. I don't have any hair. I just got this hat.
Hey, it's not like I'm fucking mowing. I'm combing it forward, bro.
All right, tune in next week on the Positive Sports Podcast. We're gonna measure. We're gonna measure our.
Bring a tape measure.
Don't worry. No need to bleep this one out. We're gonna measure our foreheads.
And make sure you say foreheads.
Foreheads. Although he's got a 5 head.
I saw that on a tweet, and it was about a woman, which I kind of felt bad, but her hairline started back here. It was terrible. That's terrible.
Man, you might as well. I mean, you just slap on.
It depends on where we measure your forehead. If we start in the middle, you got that widow's peak that makes your forehead look small. But if you go to the sides, especially on one side, yeah, you got one side. It's just running. It looks like a runway. Like
you're not too far behind, bro.
You can land a plane on that
the best
to take the average. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
JFK ain't got nothing on me.
That's what we'll average: left, right, middle.
No, we're gonna shave our heads to make sure that no excessive hair gets in the way of
I'll tell you what,
the right marking.
I need a haircut. I'm about to shave it all off because my hair's been really
straight edge.
No, not like that. I'm just gonna run clippers over it.
Straight edge, you
gotta keep shaving it.
Yeah, that's the route I want to go, but I don't have the patience to like every 3 days.
How often do you run the clippers?
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
So why would you want to do something that requires you to do it more often?
Because I'm just honest. It's the hairline, bro. Like even with a little bit of hair, you can notice the fudged up hairline that I got, and I don't appreciate what God has given me.
I just don't understand why why it's one side that's right.
I don't know.
Take your hat off to the fans.
The only thing... There you go. Voila. This is the second time I do this on the podcast. No more.
Why don't you shave the other one in and end up with just
even it out?
Front? Yeah.
No, I'm not ending up like the short guy with the little thing in the middle and then no.
That'd be awesome.
No, not doing that. Those are the weird men. I'm not.
I'm just doing mohawk.
Yeah, then I need to let it grow a little more.
No, even if it's a short mohawk, like
I don't know,
like Road Warrior Animal.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy that works in a cubicle in an office setting, I don't know if that's
Yeah, that's a good point. Good grief, God! It feels like forever since we've both been in here.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks, I guess seems like forever.
That's forever for us. So obviously, I'm wearing a referee shirt.
Yes.
Partially because I think I can do a better job than what I saw yesterday.
I'm willing to put some money down on that and say, yes, you can.
Look, here's my biggest problem. They came up with clarifications on the rules about stepping under a shooter. And I know James Harden probably embellished some of those. And some of those are difficult because the shooter's coming forward, the defender's coming forward. Who's got how much space, who's going into whose space, right?
Right.
Okay, I get it. But there was two by Klay Thompson that were ridiculous because he turned his back and then took a step back into James Harden, and those didn't get called. So
he was looking to see if the shot was going in so he can go get the rebound.
Right, but even so, he's not getting the rebound going the other way into James Harden.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty bad.
I
don't know that it didn't. A couple of those calls swing one way or the other. I mean, that's a 4-point game. It's you might have a problem. You might have a different outcome.
That one that you just mentioned was probably the worst one, right? Probably the worst one.
The one close to the top of the key.
Yeah, that the one. Klay Thompson turns his back.
Well, he does it twice.
He did it twice?
One he's kind of sideways and it's more out on the wing.
That's the one I was talking about. That I thought he did it more on that one.
Oh, no. The one closer to the top of the key I thought was ridiculous.
Here's the deal. The NBA just needs to figure out what this MySpace is. I mean, I thought we moved on from MySpace. Sorry. We're on to Facebooks now. Why is MySpace...
Twitter and Instagram.
No,
seriously. Why are we still talking about MySpace?
Why... I mean, the NBA just needs to figure out and define how much distance is a defender supposed to have. How far can they go, right? How far can the shooter jump forward? Because I mean, James Harden was doing that all game long.
Well, yeah, there was one in particular where obviously the shooter's going to jump forward because if he jumps straight up, he's not even going to get the hand in Harden's face. But at the same time, Harden's going forward. So how much? Yeah, you're right. The NBA needs to say, look, you have a 2-foot radius around you where you can land. So if you want to jump sideways, or you want to jump forward, or you want to jump back, you got 2 feet in any direction, and the defender has to stay out of there.
But even then, how do you during the game determine? Well, he was 2 feet or he was 3 feet. You know what I mean?
Obviously, there's a judgment there, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
There's no look until we get robo-ref in basketball, like we're gonna get in baseball. There's nothing you can do about it.
I just think,
but something has to be said because on those calls, the ones that I have a problem with, the ones that I find really unacceptable are the two Klay Thompson ones because he takes an additional step after he lands. So In one of them, he jumps forward kind of sideways, turns his back, and takes another step back into where Harden's going to land. And Harden jumped straight up on that one.
Okay, but I mean, on the majority of yesterday and during the season, I mean, I think we can agree. A shooter's job is not to look for a foul, is to shoot the ball and not jump forward. I mean, I don't remember getting taught jumping forward while doing a jump shot. So
Depending on how far away I am, so like if I'm outside of the paint, if I'm outside of that little restricted area, I'm looking for a foul because I can't make it. It's too far.
Yeah, but no, seriously, I think that has ruined kind of what the NBA, and we're seeing that now because this is an excellent second round matchup, and I think it's a shame that what's being talked about is the refs, and now the second game.
Oh my God!
The Warriors are gonna have to come out 20-0 because they're gonna get everything called, and it's not fair. It's not fair to either team. We're not getting what the Rockets and the Warriors should be giving us. You know what I'm saying?
And quite frankly, I think yesterday's game kind of devolved into a complaint fest on both sides.
Both sides,
both sides, because it was just. It was ridiculous the amount of griping that was going on from both sides, and it made the game worse. If you look at that game, if that's a regular season game, sorry I touched you, that's a foul. If that's a regular season game and you don't see the uniforms, if there's just a team in black jerseys and a team in white jerseys, no one watches that game because it was terrible basketball. The only reason you watched it's because it was the Warriors and the Rockets. There's been a little bit of yammering going on between them, and it's in the playoffs. Otherwise, no one watches that game last night.
And it's a damn shame because this has potential for 7 games.
Oh, yeah.
And we're getting this. I feel like we're getting this series way too early, but it's just the way it played out. And I mean, if the refs are gonna control the rest of this series, then honestly, I don't want to watch much of it. I mean, it's and on top of that. Let's not forget, it was a 4-point game. The Rockets had their chances, shot a boatload of free throws, and they're the ones that are complaining a lot. I mean, they complained a lot.
Oh, it was ridiculous. The amount of whining that went on yesterday was ridiculous. The game took like 3 hours because it was whistles galore.
They took like 40-something threes. They took a lot more threes than the Warriors took. Made less. They took a lot more free. I don't know about a lot more, but they took
more free throws. Yes, they did.
So I mean, their chances were there.
The stat at halftime is they were shooting 38% from the field, and yet they were tied at the half.
Yeah.
So the Rockets at halftime really, if anyone is kind of to blame aside from the referees. The Rockets really should have regrouped and said, look, we shot the ball terrible in the first half and we're tied. Let's go out and play our game. And who knows, maybe they steal that game in Golden State. And the other thing that's a shame about this whole foul and the complaining and the trash, not only did it make the game trash, but it really overshadows what an incredible run. And I know it's only 3 or 4 games, but Kevin Durant is just insane. I mean, he is insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
what?
Now, granted, sometimes I don't know if you listen to the game as well, but the announcers are like, "Oh, look at that great step back jumper." It was over Chris Paul. I mean, he's a foot taller than Chris Paul. Like sometimes let's relax, guys. But he is playing incredible basketball.
He's averaging like 35 points in the last 5 games or something. I think Harden is.
I think more than that.
Yeah, probably more than that. I think Harden and him are like the top.
The other thing that became clear as you watched that game yesterday is, and I know we talk about other players, and I guess we can kind of make the same argument about Giannis. James Harden's the MVP.
No, he's not.
That team barely scores 60 points a game without him. I mean, it's insane.
Is he really MVP? I mean,
oh man,
I mean, what makes him MVP? He's not
that
MVP.
That team is worthless without him. The amount.
So we're not taking playoffs into account, right?
Hold on a second. But seriously, A, the guy scores a ton, and B, the amount of attention he gets and still makes baskets. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I can't respect Harden. He's a shooter, but looks for the foul before making the shot. Some of those shots that he took yesterday, he was looking
for the foul.
He was looking for the foul.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't even close. So, again, I've said it plenty of times.
I don't think he does it all the time. if you watch the game closely yesterday, I think he did that. A lot of times when he does that, it's when he feels he didn't get the previous call because he thinks he's going to get it no matter what. And and in my opinion, he's looking for a 4-point play.
But during the season, he does it nonstop. He looks for a foul on every single play. He looks like he's swimming in the air. No, I'm serious.
His arms are flailing around.
Yeah,
sometimes.
he looks for a foul every time, and until James Harden shows me that he can get over the hump in the playoffs, then I'll give him his props. But until then,
he's taking a team. He's taking a team with very little help.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop in the regular season. It keeps going, and he had a chance to
they
really
went to the conference finals.
Yeah, and he shot 1 for 11. So he had
one
a
game.
But he had a chance to take the team in the pivotal game to the championship when he had the Warriors on the ropes and he came up short.
The one guy he had to help him was sitting on the bench.
But during the season he's carrying the team by himself.
But it's Alex. You know as well as I do. The season is completely different.
His style of play, and Kobe Bryant already said it. The second best. Greatest player of all time. He already said it. That style of play just doesn't win. Accompany that by D'Antoni, who just is not a coach of adjustments and a defensive coach. It's not going to win you a championship. It's not going to get him out of the second round.
If somehow he gets Kevin Durant to come to Houston, the Rockets go to the finals.
I don't know. Possibly.
Let's look.
I don't know.
Look, the only guy who takes a team of not very good complementary players to the finals is LeBron James, who's one of the greatest players ever. Right? People like to put him in the category with Michael Jordan. So, as great as Kevin Durant is, he's got a lot of help.
Yeah.
I still.
He also had Russell Westbrook in OKC.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And James Harden.
And
they couldn't make it.
I don't
know.
They did make it, but they lost, right?
Yeah,
they
didn't make the final.
Against the Heat.
Did they make the finals?
Against the Heat, yeah. They made the finals that year.
Well, see? There you go.
Their first one.
See? If Harden can get a little help. I would love to see.
Wait a second.
I would kind of like to see Harden go back to OKC and have him and Westbrook and Paul George. That'd be fantastic.
I have a sneaky feeling that Kevin Durant and the Thunder are going to be in talks. I'm pretty sure.
Look, I think everyone's going to talk.
No, not everyone. The Timberwolves are not going to talk to Kevin Durant.
Before we get off the whole Rockets-Warriors series, can you just see fans in Memphis just pulling their hair out, thinking about these two, all the national attention on these two teams? Because most of the country kind of dislikes the Warriors because they've become this juggernaut,
right?
And most of the country kind of dislikes Harden because of the whole trying to get a foul call thing. And there's fans in Detroit, teams that are not very good, Detroit and Memphis, and going. Could there be anything worse than these two teams complaining about fouls?
Seriously.
Did you see the tweet by Rudy Gobert from the Jazz?
No.
He said, "I wish they would have let us guard James Harden like that."
Yeah, it's really a shame, man, that the referees are controlling
the topic.
Yeah, are the topic. But
who do you think wins the series?
Oh, the Warriors. Easily the Warriors. Yeah. I just don't... The Warriors. Yeah, Warriors in whatever.
You don't have very many choices. It's 4, 5, 6,
the Warriors win. I don't think...
Do you think it goes 7?
Now, you don't think Eric Gordon is a decent complementary player? Do you think Chris Paul, PJ Tucker, Capella...
Chris Paul has lost it.
He is... Where did he come from as being the biggest? He was a bigger complainer yesterday than he was. Then Draymond Green.
Hey, don't touch me.
Sorry. Foul. And is he going to get suspended because he bumped the ref?
I don't think. No.
Why not though? I think that's a fair question.
He
bumped the ref.
I don't. The way he was kind of walking, it didn't look like he meant to bump into him. So I don't think that, and that's I don't think that's why he got tossed.
No, that's not why he got tossed.
Because
but
he said something else after that, and that's what got him the technical.
But
that's when the ref, did you notice he couldn't get his hand around his whistle fast enough to blow it? He's like.
Now, in all fairness, though, if a player bumps into a ref, is that subject to a suspension?
I think that if you touch a ref, you should get suspended.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of how many games.
Okay. So
now, if that was the case, soccer would be played 3-on-3 because those players touch referees all the time.
Well, they have
with soccer, right? I understand. But in the NBA and even in Major League Baseball and the NFL, I think if you touch a ref, you just can't have it.
I don't think he'll get suspended.
I don't
think
he will either.
I think it's a fair question because if we're gonna go by the rules, whether he meant to or not, how does the ref know that? You don't know that. I don't know that. He bumped into him.
Yeah.
During a heat of the moment
discussion.
So
exchange of information.
Yeah.
I don't know either, but we'll see what happens. I don't think he's gonna get suspended at the end of the day. Who
wins game 2?
I think the Rockets will.
Yeah,
I think the Rockets will because I think they're going to get all the calls.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but I really think that, I think part of the reason why the Rockets are chirping so much about last night, they're working for the next one.
Would you rather see the referees do what they did the first game and just let them play a little bit?
Yes, I generally that's what I would rather see. But I do think that with this, especially with the undercutting on a jump shot, the last thing I want is to lose Steph Curry to an undercut. Right? He comes down, sprains his knee, and he's out. Or James Harden, or Klay Thompson, or Kevin Durant. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I want the best players on the court.
Here's another thing real quick. Curry was in foul trouble for most of the game.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, the Rockets didn't... I'm sorry. The calls could have gone either way. There was a few... I think people are saying 4 calls. There was 1 or 2 that maybe, probably should have been. But at the end of the day, you have to make your shots. And if you're not looking to make your shots and you're looking for something else, then it's not going to work out for you. And me personally, as a fan, I don't want to watch free throws 50 times a game. I mean, that just to me is just not basketball. That really goes...
When you watch the Rockets, you watch a lot of free throws.
Right.
They get to the line a lot.
And the other thing they need to figure out, the NBA, is these shooters, what do you want these defenders to do? It's very similar to the NFL. These defenders go up with their hands straight up in the air, and what do the shooters do? They lean towards the defender. I mean, the defender can't do anything. And what do? They call a foul on the defender. It's kind of like the NFL.
To be fair, though, very few defenders jump straight up.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of it happen in the past couple seasons where the defender just goes straight up. Not anyone in particular, just in general. And the defender the shooter gets the call for leaning into the guy's arm.
The defender, you're right. The defender almost never gets the call, but the defender also almost never jumps straist up. It's very rare that you see a defender.
It even happens in the paint a lot.
Oh, in the paint it happens a ton.
I mean, but as a defender, I'm just wondering, as a defender, what can you do? Just give up the shot? What do you do? So.
What you could do is not jump and then take one step forward, stick your ass out, and see what happens.
Yeah, you could try that, I guess.
Let's see. We got Portland, Denver in the other series. I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised. Denver didn't look good in that series against the Spurs until the last game. And I'm kind of surprised that they're here.
And they're kind of lucky to be there.
But I think they match up really well with the Trailblazers. And I still don't trust the Trailblazers beyond the first round.
Yeah, I mean, the Nuggets got away with one. I mean, the Spurs, they don't call timeout there at the end. They don't stop the clock. I mean,
I didn't understand that at all. Did they not know that there was 26 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, plenty of time.
With 26 seconds, so they were gonna just bank on getting the ball, having them miss and get the ball back with 2 seconds left. I mean, what if there's an offensive rebound or something? I mean, I'm always a fan of extending the game at that point.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to, right?
With 1 minute left, in the game, I'm thinking about fouling, unless it's the Warriors, right? And you got Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson shooting free throws.
But as far as Denver and Portland, I don't know, man. Both teams are they match up well, but at times when I look at Jokic, he looks like a slob, man. Like, I don't know how that guy makes it through 48 minutes of basketball, much less 7 games.
Yeah, it does look tiring, and you got to wonder how that's going to progress in the playoffs. Like, he hasn't gone deep in the playoffs before. No. Is he going to be able to handle? Because the playoffs are a different kind of grind. It's a lot less easy possessions in the playoffs.
Yeah, so I mean, Portland is missing a key piece also, right? Their big man,
right?
I forgot his name. Whatever, his center.
Who do you think wins that series?
I'm gonna say Portland.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they've been there for a few years, and after missing last year, and always. I think the expectations was always they can get past that round that they've been losing in, which is the first round, right, or second round, whatever.
Well, they got past the first round.
So and Denver, I don't know. Denver controls the ball a lot. Like they don't shoot
recklessly.
They make good decisions with the ball. So I'll say Portland in 7. Wait, who's home?
I think Denver.
Portland in 6.
I think Denver's going to win that series.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a good series. It's going to be a challenging series. I think the Warriors get by the Rockets eventually. I think it'll be tough. I think it may actually go 7, but because the Rockets are not going to go away easy. And if they can steal one in Golden State, then they could be in business. How about the East?
I think the East is, Boston really clamped down on Giannis yesterday. Al Horford played outstanding defense. Jaylen Brown really came around and played really good basketball.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving saying he can turn it on whenever he wants to. I believe he can, I mean, they really have found... a really good gelling point. This
is the Boston team we've really been waiting for all season long, and now we're finally getting it.
But people are gonna say, well, you played the Pacers and they were without Oladipo. Well, you played the Bucks and all they have is the Greek Freak.
Well, but that's not true, right? Because we know Milwaukee's got Middleton and
Bledsoe.
God, the name always escapes me. They've got Middleton and Bledsoe. They had the best record in the East. They're not a slouch. I mean, I understand people saying that about Indiana, but it's possible that those 4 games against Indiana got them finally going in the right direction. If they win tonight against Milwaukee, yikes. You're looking at a hot Boston team going into the conference finals, because I don't think Milwaukee will be able to come back losing their first 2 games at home.
Now, you had Warriors in Boston. Is that still your...
was that before the season? Or
that was our preview.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to stick to it.
I'm pretty confident in both of them.
I mean, yeah, I feel much better now than I did 2.5 weeks ago before the playoffs started, right?
Yeah.
Before the playoffs started, I thought...
the majority of the regular season.
Yeah, the majority of the season, I thought, geez, the Celtics look like they're barely going to make the playoffs, let alone be a factor. But now, sure, Toronto or Philadelphia will be a tough matchup for Boston, but, it's the conference finals. It's supposed to be tough. But I don't see any reason why Boston couldn't beat either one of those 2 teams. And again, if they manage to win tonight against Milwaukee and put them in an 0-2 hole, it's going to be tough to beat them 4 out of the next 5 games. You got to believe they're going to go into the conference finals, and then wow, Wow, what a
Yeah,
turnaround!
right.
Talk about turning the lights on.
Yeah, and they're doing all this without Marcus Smart.
That's right.
You know, maybe that was the best thing that could happen for them. I mean,
last year they made it a long way without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. So
another key piece is Gordon Hayward. Man, he really is looking like himself. You know, like what he played when he played in Utah. Right? He played with Utah. So that's really positive for the Celtics, man.
Yeah, it's incredible. At this point, it's incredible.
I mean, they shut down Giannis, and he still got his 20-something points. But I believe you just let him shoot his load and shut down the other guys. Shut down Middleton and the 3-point shooting.
Yeah,
let him score 40, 50 points.
I agree with that as well.
Do you think the 76ers beat Toronto? They're down 1-0. Bless you.
Excuse me.
So, you need some water over here?
No, I'm good. I just had a sneeze.
You're the only ref here. I can't. I need you to control this.
Yeah, but
control your coffee.
Stay out of my space. Stay out of my space before I sneeze on you.
76ers don't stand a chance.
I had more hope for the Sixers before the series started. That first game really gave me pause. I can't believe that I'm going to change my pick after one game, but
might come back to haunt you. You sure you want to do that?
Just all of a sudden, the Sixers look like they can't. And not only do the Sixers not look like they can handle it, but Kawhi Leonard looks better than ever. Like he's a different version of himself now that the playoffs have started. It seems like.
Well, he had load management during the season,
and maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but that first game, yikes.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of scares me for the Sixers. If you're a Sixers fan.
I didn't give the Sixers much of a chance. I mean, now and Embiid might be questionable tonight he's got gas problems.
Don't we all?
I don't fucking believe that. It's his knee. It's got to be his knee, man. I mean, that team's going to go as far as Embiid takes him, unfortunately. Yeah. And it's a shame because they have two other good shooters that can get to the basket, kind of create points in Butler and Harris. I think Toronto's going to be too much. And the Sixers have no bench, man. I've said it all season. They don't have a bench, and they like to shoot a lot of three-pointers. The Sixers were one of the top scoring teams in the league, but they get a lot of those points from shooting threes. And again, if kind of like the Rockets, you live by the three, you die by the three. You could be hot and make 40% of them, or you could be cold and make 20%, and that's a big swing.
It's a big problem. Yeah, so Toronto's looking good in that series to me. We'll see how it shakes out, but I hope at the very least the Sixers come back and win tonight and make it a series. And because look, I want to see
all 7 games. All series go 7.
Well, and here's the thing. I complained a lot during the first round. I said the first round was a waste of time, and I think I was right. There was out of the how many series were there? 8 series. How many series were compelling? 1.
Which one?
The Denver San Antonio series.
And that one wasn't even really for a 7-game series. That wasn't
right, because think about the other ones: Milwaukee, Detroit, boring. Toronto, Orlando, boring. The Sixers in Brooklyn, it had a little bit of beef in the beginning, which kind of made it interesting. But the Nets really didn't have anything for them. The Celtics and the Pacers, boring. Warriors and whoever they played in the first round. The Clippers, 1 or 2 interesting games, but for the most part, nah. Rockets, Jazz, blowout. Portland, OKC. That was kind of interesting just because OKC has guys that make it interesting, right? And Westbrook and George.
And Lillard's game winner. That was...
Yeah. But so really, there was only one series that was compelling.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was kind of boring.
Yeah. Well,
so yes, when we get to the second round and the teams are better and closer, I want to see 7 games. I can't get enough of it. So that's what I'm hoping for, and we'll see how that shakes out. So the other big event in the last week was the draft, the NFL draft. Which, by the way, I didn't realize Nashville was such a hotbed of football. Jesus Christ, did they turn out people?
I mean, I seen some pictures, and that looked like it was all the way down Broadway Street.
That looked like Mardi Gras.
Wow.
It was amazing. So
well, it's not that Nashville is hardcore with the football. It's all the fans that came in.
Yeah, right. There's always,
Which I have a big beef about, by the way.
How many,
Let me tell you something. If you're not cheering at the very beginning, before, as soon as the commissioner or whoever says the player's name,
yeah,
and you stop for a hard 2-second pause, and then you cheer, you have no freaking clue who that player is. Okay? You're a fake fan. I mean, it really, ESPN needs to do a better job next year of not showing that. I mean,
that is funny. That is very true because there
right?
were times. There was this
I seen it
guy
with the Packers. I seen it with the 49ers.
There was one guy. I think it was the Giants. It was a Giants fan, and it wasn't the first pick. It was the second pick, the 17 pick overall. They zoomed in on this Giants fan, and Roger Goodell said the name, so and so from the University of whatever, and the guy was like,
"Who?"
Yeah! And it took way too long. Like he was flipping through his mental Rolodex of college football players, of which he knows 3.
And then he figured out, oh, I got to cheer. I have the team jersey on.
Yeah, well, screw it. The Giants took him. Yeah!
Yeah, that's the only thing that really annoyed me.
And who are all these people that go to the draft? Like, here's my thing. Unless you go to every single home game, right? Why are you going to the draft?
I mean, unless you're paying me to go, I'm not going to go. I'd rather stay home. You can be comfortable on your couch. You want to invite a couple friends over, your brother over, order some pizzas, drink some beverages. Boom, that's your draft party right there.
How many people there you think are... When it was in New York, I would say 90% of those people were New Yorkers. They just happened, or transplants of some sort, but they lived in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
And they happened to be Eagles fans or Cardinals fans or whatever, and they went to the draft, right? Because that was almost as good as going to a game of your team.
Yeah.
But in Nashville, how many Green Bay fans do you think are living in Nashville? Oh, Green Bay's a bad example because they have a national following. How many Charger fans from LA or San Diego are living in Nashville?
I can't. I don't know. None.
Nah.
I can't even tell you the states that surround Tennessee. I don't even know where Tennessee is on the map. I'm sorry.
Tennessee is in Tennessee.
In Tennessee, right.
Nashville is in Tennessee.
Now I'm confused. I failed geography in pre-K.
We were talking about geography at dinner the other day, and my oldest daughter says, I still think Boston should be the state, not Massachusetts. No one knows about Massachusetts, but everyone knows about Boston. She goes, it's the same thing with Detroit. And I'm like, you didn't do so hot in geography, did you? There's a difference between a city and a state. But, she's kind of right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's kind of right.
There are a lot of people outside of the Northeast that think the state is Philadelphia, not Pennsylvania. Yeah. Or Boston, not Massachusetts, right?
Wait, Philadelphia's not the state?
No, it's not.
Oh, damn. I need to pick up a textbook.
Every now and then. So what'd you think about the draft? Any thoughts?
No, my thoughts will come after training camp, after preseason. I need to see, I'm not an analyst. I need to see these players play in an NFL
environment
setting.
Right. Look, the two biggest talking points from the draft are obviously Kyler Murray going first, which then gets Rosen traded to Miami, and the Giants and what they did with the number 6 pick. I don't think that this was a very good draft for quarterbacks.
No.
I don't think any of the quarterbacks taken. Well, even Murray, I don't think is a first-round quarterback. Look, everyone wants to say, oh, he's the same height as Russell Wilson. Yeah, but how many Russell Wilsons are there? There's only one, right? So everyone's comparing him to Russell Wilson. He could be Russell Wilson. He could be Russell Wilson. But the fact of the matter is, he could also be the hundreds of other 5'10" quarterbacks that we don't even know their name because they never made it in the NFL. So I think it's a bit of a faulty comparison. The only thing that I think helps Kyler Murray where he might be successful as a 5'10 quarterback in the NFL is he has a cannon for an arm, right? He's a baseball player. So was Russell Wilson. Okay, great. But, we've also seen guys with cannons flop, right? Ryan Leaf had a cannon. Jamarcus Russell could throw a football 70 yards sitting on his ass.
Right.
How good did that turn out? So,
While drunk off cough syrup.
Yeah, of scissor. So, how far will that take you?
Yeah.
And, granted, it's a different situation for him than it was for those other guys because he's going into a situation with a quarterback offensive guru in Cliff or Kyle? Kyle Kingsbury.
Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury. Coach Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Coach Kingsbury. But here's the other caveat with that. Guy's got 0 NFL experience.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a ballsy move by Arizona.
So who do you think they should have taken?
But one that we eventually could call a complete disaster. I don't know.
They should have.
I don't know. I think this draft was chock full of defensive players that are going to make an impact right away.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of good guys out there defensively.
Yeah.
And I understand Arizona, sees a guy and they think he's the franchise. I get why they did it, but geez, I don't know. And as far as the rest of the quarterbacks, I don't think any of those quarterbacks were first-round quarterbacks. But
that's not what the scouts and Mel Kiper and everybody is saying. Everybody's saying, man, these are the top 5 quarterbacks of this draft class. Greer.
Well, but hold on. There's a difference between the top 5 quarterbacks of this class and quarterbacks that should have gone in the first round.
Right, but you go by needs. And if you need a quarterback, the most important position in football, hands down,
right,
and you have the number 6 pick, and you have your guy, up to this point, you've done all the homework possible. You've met with the guy, you had dinner, you took their dogs for a walk. You did everything with this prospect, right? You've done your homework, not only with who you draft, but
numerous other guys. Right.
So, if you have a chance to take your guy at 7, 6, 5, 1, then you got to take him, regardless of what the norm is. We're so used to the norm that, when something like this happens, is like, oh my God.
Here's the thing, and this is where my problem lies with the Giants and their pick at 6. The draft is as much about value as it is about talent. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a quarterback. Let's say you're a decent quarterback. No one was going to pick you in the first 3 rounds. But for some reason, right, the Denver Broncos saw something in you that makes them think, this kid's going to be good. But no one else thinks he's a top 3 in the top 3 rounds. Why would you take him at 11 or whatever the Broncos pick was? Mm-hmm. You can get something else, right? You can get a defensive player, or you can trade back and get more picks. That was my problem with the Giants. The Giants could have picked up Jones at 17. They could have picked him up at 29 when they made the trade with Seattle. I think Jones would have been available at both of those spots. And instead, you took him at 6, and you passed on some really good defensive talent. You passed on a Devin Bush. You passed on a Josh Allen. You passed on an Ed Oliver. Guys that I think could potentially be game changers on the defensive side of the ball, where you also have needs. And you still... I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is a bust. I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is going to suck. I'm saying I think you could have gotten that guy considerably later, and you could have picked up a much more valuable defensive piece than what you actually got. In my opinion, the comparison here is not between Daniel Jones and Haskins or Murray or whatever. To me, the comparison is between who you would have picked at 6 defensively, let's just say Josh Allen, and who you actually got at 17. Who was that guy? I forget his name.
The defensive lineman.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So I think that's where the comparison, the guy from Clemson, which I think is a good pick, but I think Josh Allen or Ed Oliver would have been better. And I think that's the problem I have with the Giants pick. That's the comparison that I will be making going forward. Because look, people pick up studs in the late rounds all the time. People pick up garbage in the first round all the time, right? It happens. You know, these kids are 20, 21, 22 years old, and stuff happens in their lives, and they don't pan out, or stuff, they find the right coach, and all of a sudden they blossom into stars, right? Who knows? So to me, it's not a Daniel Jones thing. It's a, what did you pass up defensively? That's my problem. And if you thought that the Redskins, right? You could have, quite possibly, you could have goosed the Redskins into trading up to that 6th spot, and you move back to 15, and you could have said, assuming that you knew, right? Because obviously part of that is you got to know. Assuming you knew that the Redskins were hot after Haskins, you start chirping about how great you think Haskins is, and maybe you could have made that trade to go back to 15, pick up an additional pick or next year's pick or whatever, right? You gotten some value for that 6th pick and still got your guy at 15.
But he might not have been there at 15.
Right, no.
He could have gone at 10 where the Broncos traded back as soon as Jones got picked. And I don't have any freaking sources. I don't know. But I'm just saying it's a coincidence that Jones gets picked up and the Broncos trade the number 10 pick to Pittsburgh. So there's no guarantee that Jones would have been there, regardless.
There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees in anything, for sure.
Okay, then that's it then. If you have the number 6 pick and you're going for a quarterback and you know that you want this particular quarterback, hands down, you have to take it. You have to take him. Have to. No ifs, ands, or buts. You have to take him. Now, do we agree that Daniel Jones is not this pretty quarterback that Haskins had?
He's pretty.
He's pretty.
He's a good-looking dude.
Well, he doesn't have 50 pretty touchdowns that Kyler Murray had.
He is good-looking.
He doesn't have 50 pretty touchdowns that Haskins had. So that's the knock.
But he's good-looking.
Well, that's your preference.
And in New York, that's going to go a long way. He's a good-looking cat.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Hey, listen, I'm a fan. At the end of the day, I choose to be a fan of the Giants. And, I think really, if you're interviewing somebody for a job and you have candidates and you go home at the end of the day and you think about, okay, which one you want? And you're like, all right, this is the one that I want. You're going to call him. You're going to call that candidate and you're going to say, hey, you're hired. You're not going to wait. As soon as you know who you want to hire, you're going to go hire him. You're not going to wait an extra day to play that type of game. There's no redos in drafts,
As someone who has hired people, I've interviewed people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had 3 candidates, and I've had 2 that were pretty close.
Right.
And, I always go through a recruiter, and the recruiter tells me, yeah, but this one guy, he's got several offers on the table. And I'm like, okay, I've got another choice, right? I'm not gonna let someone else determine the value for me.
Right.
The value of the pick and the value of the position that I'm trying to fill is the value of the position. And to think that...
But the Giants had value of him. They valued him at that stage.
You know what I would be curious to know? Like, I would love to know the Giants ranking, irrespective of what anyone else thought.
Uh-huh.
So, who would they have taken if they had the first pick? Kyler Murray. Who would they have taken if they already, if they had the second? I would love to see the order, and I can't I personally cannot believe. I would be shocked. I can't say I can't believe because teams fuck this up all the time. I think they didn't have Daniel Jones at 6. I think they had Ed Oliver ahead of him. I think they had Josh Allen ahead of him. I think they had Devin Bush ahead of him. I think they had defensive players ahead of him.
But here's the thing. Teams are gonna blow smoke. They might leak a ranking, and it's all BS.
Well, obviously we're never going to see a ranking.
Right? Yeah. I know, but there's insiders that leak stuff or whatever. You know how that goes. And the fact of the matter is, nobody traded up so they can land their guy, except the Broncos. The Broncos said,
Steelers traded up, right?
I'm sorry, yeah. The Steelers traded up. I mean, I think that pick fell on their lap just because I believe Broncos were thinking about picking Jones. I mean,
maybe.
It's all a crapshoot.
My other problem with the pick, and maybe this clouds my judgment a little bit, I am concerned about his arm strength. He's going to play 8 games in MetLife Stadium, which is not an easy place to throw the football.
That's true.
That's a big problem for me.
That's true, but I think
that scares me.
Arm strength is something that you can develop. I mean, he's only 23, so he can hit the gym a little bit, and
and once you get into the NFL and you get guys, you get a true professional strength and conditioning team working with you. Who knows what could happen, right?
And you know what? To all the Giants fans that talk shit, I just don't get it. You hate Eli because whatever. He's a dummy. He looks funny. He throws with his left hand. You finally get a quarterback. It may not be the quarterback you wanted, but you get a quarterback that's freaking 6'5", can actually run. He has some ability to run.
Some movement.
He can if he gets flushed out of the pocket, he can make a run for it. He's a short to mid accuracy, quarterback. No long, no deep ball.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get a quarterback. Why don't you just wait out and see what happens? We don't know what this guy's going to bring to the table.
I am a Giants fan. I am rooting for him wholeheartedly.
You're not.
I hope he turns out to be.
He's not a
Tom
Giants
Brady.
fan.
But to me, even if he turns out to be Tom Brady, it wasn't the right pick because you could have got him at 17. I am 100% convinced that guy was not a first round pick for just about anyone.
Well, 15 years down the line, you definitely won't be saying that. I mean, if that's the case,
we
won't be saying.
Well, I won't be saying it. 15 years from now, I'll be on the podcast saying, Sonny, I remember 15 years ago when that kid got drafted.
You won't have teeth. I will.
That's right. Look, we'll see, but
I just can't put a lot of stock into the rankings of these players, and you just don't know what you're gonna get. And there's in the first round, it's not value. You're picking what you need. Although I can't really agree with that because last year kind of needed a quarterback, but we took the best player available, so I guess that would be value. I don't know, man. Yeah, the other thing about Gettleman is the GM for the Giants is, look, this guy said we didn't sign Odell just to trade him. I don't believe anything that guy says at this point. I don't think any of the fans should.
You know what worries me about Gettleman now, and I'm a Gettleman fan, right? He did some great stuff in Carolina, and I'm excited to have him. I was excited. His comments after making this pick make me worry. They very much smell of I'm the smartest guy in the room. Yeah. You guys wait and see. That scares the living crap out of me because that is how you make these mistakes. That's how Al Davis forced the Raiders to pick Russell. It's that kind of mentality that gets teams in trouble. When you think you're the smartest guy on the planet,
I agree. I wouldn't have.
That makes me nervous.
I definitely wouldn't have came out and said any of that. But to his defense, and not because he's with the Giants, but to his defense, I think he's got a pretty good track record of drafting quarterbacks, going to the Super Bowl, what he did with Carolina. I think he's got a good track record. I do feel that we took a totally opposite approach to rebuilding this team. I think quarterback should have been last year, and then but again, I'm just a fan. I'm not the GM.
It'll be interesting, and it's going to be tough for that kid because he's coming in already with a strike against him. I think the fan base is not happy. Now, the one thing that may be really good for him is if Eli survives this year health-wise, he may not play this year. People kind of, this whole thing will kind of die down a little bit, and then he can take the reins the year after and, be the quarterback that everyone wants him to be. But God forbid Eli goes down in the first 3 games and this kid's got to come in. It's going to be a tough crowd. There's going to be a lot of criticism, and it's going to be a lot of heat. And, New York has a way of chewing players up, spitting them out.
But he's not going to be a bust if he fails. He's not going to be a bust because nobody expected him to be drafted this high. So he's not a bust.
If he doesn't turn out to be the successor to Eli Manning and be good,
it'll be all on Gettleman.
He will be a bust.
He won't.
No, he will because you picked him 6.
But did you expect him to?
That's not the point.
No, yes.
You picked him at 6. If he doesn't perform, he's a bust.
But he's not a bust because he wasn't the best quarterback in this class. He's not a bust.
Alex, go back and look at every single quarterback that's been picked in the top 6.
Jamarcus Russell.
And if he didn't turn
was
out
Jamarcus
to
Russell?
Hold on a second.
Wait. No. He was projected to go number 1. Ryan Leaf projected to go number 1.
Hold on a second, Alex. If you go back and look at quarterbacks picked in the first 6 picks, if they ended up being a bust, if they ended up not being good, they're a bust. If you get picked that high, whether people thought you were that kind of material or not, the fact that you got picked that high and you don't make it, you're a bust. No one thought David Carr should be the number 1 pick overall, but he was. And they put him behind an offensive line on an expansion team that was about as solid as Swiss cheese. And what do we think of David Carr? We think bust.
I think of him as a Super Bowl champion. To be quite honest with you,
the best clipboard carrying Super Bowl. It's a.
Yeah,
I feel bad. I kind of feel bad for Daniel Jones because he's being put in a very difficult spot. If he has to take the reins this year, unless it's at the very end of the year, but if he has to take the reins in the first 3 or 4 games of the season, and he struggles. It's going to be a tough road for him, and I feel for him.
I don't think he should be classified as a bust. Arizona now taking a quarterback, trading away Rosen. Now that smells like you put all your baskets
I'll go one step
on Murray.
I'll go one step further. If Haskins doesn't pan out in Washington, people are going to say he's a bust.
Yeah.
You draft a quarterback. You know how it is, Alex, in the NFL. Quarterback is either God or GOAT. There's no in between, right?
Yeah.
If the team wins, it's because the quarterback's great. If the team loses, it's because the quarterback sucks. It's never, I shouldn't say never. There are some isolated examples otherwise. But for the most part, man, it's the quarterback gets all the credit. The quarterback gets all the heat. And it doesn't matter what's around.
See, I don't think this will be on Giants fans. I don't think this will be on Daniel Jones. This will be on Gettleman, and Gettleman will just be fired.
It's a package deal now.
No, you can't put this on Jones.
I'm not saying I put it on Jones, but I'm saying that's the way it's going to come across.
In general, people are gonna.
I think they're gonna. I think if he's not successful, they're gonna blast him and Gettleman.
Yeah, possibly.
And Gettleman. This pick could be Gettleman's job. Scary.
Yeah.
It's scary that you build a career doing something and now you got to put all your eggs in the basket of a 22-year-old basically.
But what if they're right? What if the Giants are right? What if he gives us what Eli Manning gave us?
2 Super Bowls? That'd be awesome.
What then?
Well, then it's going to further the legend of how much of a genius Gettleman is at building teams, and Daniel Jones will be talked about as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, along with Eli Manning and Peyton Manning and all the other 2-time Super Bowl winners.
And analysts don't know what they're talking about then. And fans don't know what they're talking about.
Fans never know what they're talking about.
So,
that's how you and I have a show.
Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. I don't know about you.
No, I mean, that's, the fans never know what they're talking about. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But with the analyst thing, I mean, it's like I mentioned the comment I made earlier. You'll find diamonds in the 4th round, and you'll find coal in the 1st round.
I mean, but there are fans that follow those mock drafts, and I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that shit. There's a reason why Mel Kiper has mock draft 3.0, because it's always changing. It's always changing. For 6 months, the draft stock of these players is changing. So nobody freaking knows.
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
At the end of the day,
who are we to say, or who is Mel Kiper to say, Dave Gettleman doesn't know what he's doing, and made this pick?
Those guys follow it, 10,000 times closer than you and I do. They watch a lot of tape. They break a lot of stuff down. They know a lot of trends. I mean, Mel Kiper's been doing this. People have been listening to Mel Kiper for years for a reason.
I don't listen to none of them.
He knows something.
The only time I really read about these prospects, like once they get drafted, that's when I start reading about them, because I really don't. I don't care to watch them play college football. Like I don't. It doesn't impress me that Haskins threw 50 touchdowns on a 5-star recruit team like Ohio State. It just doesn't impress me. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And now that once they get to the NBA, to the NFL, and just to see how they're working out and their preseason games. I don't watch preseason games. I just read about them. Then I can kind of gauge and say, okay, well, this guy's this or whatever. But this is one of the worst times of the year to really break down what these teams, got.
Yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, you won't know until you get them on a field with NFL talent and NFL coaches and NFL strength and conditioning people and all that jazz, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But it's interesting. It's interesting to talk about now and speculate, and football has very much become a year-round conversation, and I guess this is part of the conversation at this time of the year is how'd the draft go, and everyone gets grades and all this other stuff, and football. This is part of the football machine that this country is. I mean, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
We can't get enough of it. So, let's see.
What else happened in the draft? I can't really. Did you watch any of it?
I watched a little bit.
Just the first round?
Mostly the first round, yeah, because I like to see the guys in their cool suits and stuff.
But by the 20th pick, they stopped coming out.
Well, they're not there.
Yeah, they're not there.
They're not there. They invite...
Someone got picked really high and they weren't there. Oh, the dude from Oakland that got picked 4th.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
That was a surprise pick also, because everybody was pretty shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't... I'm like, you're the 4th pick. I want to be there.
I'm surprised Haskins wasn't there.
Haskins wasn't there.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys are afraid of the Aaron Rodgers treatment, right? Where remember Aaron Rodgers this was back in the day when they only had like 10 guys show up.
Yeah.
And he dropped all the way to like 26 and had to sit there by himself for 2 hours. Well, and the picks were 15 minutes apart.
Right.
So the first round was like 4.5 hours and he's sitting back there by himself.
Well, cool. That makes me feel better about Daniel Jones. He had confidence that he was going to get picked early.
He was there.
Well,
he's a good-looking cat too.
I missed that Haskins wasn't there.
I like to see. Part of what I like about the first round is I like to see the outfits these young men wear. Apparently, socks were optional this year.
I didn't notice. I didn't notice any crazy except Murray's.
Murray's was a little.
He had the flamingo.
Yeah, his was a little crazy. Devin Bush from Michigan had some kind of. I mean, it looked like a straight jacket. Only his arms weren't tucked in, but it looked kind of weird. It's black and white.
Bosa had a cool one.
Yeah, and there was one guy. I obviously I'm not going to remember who it was. It was a lineman. Mm-hmm. So you got this big 300-pound guy, and he went with the tapered pants a little bit high so
Yeah.
you could see his socks, and of course he's not wearing socks. Right. And the jacket was. He must have got fitted for the jacket like a couple months ago.
God.
Because he's put on a few
Put on
pounds
some
since,
weight,
you know,
since
he's
they weren't
working out for the NFL and stuff. He's gotten a little
You're not playing for a while.
Right, you know, he's not burning the calories quite. And that thing looked like it was about to bust.
Poor Button.
Yeah. Well, heck, I shouldn't talk, you know. I'm putting on weight myself.
Did you know that the Cleveland Browns selected a draft pick from the 2013 draft? This draft?
No.
Jim Brown went up there. And I feel bad. I mean, Jim Brown went up there to introduce the second round pick, I think, of the Browns. Might have been the second, I think. And he was there to introduce. They were going to pick Greedy Williams from LSU, and he said in the 2013.
Oh my!
Yeah, bro.
He gets a pass. That guy's got to be like 85.
Yeah,
right?
no, absolutely. But I just thought it was funny. It was funny.
He's trying to go to the way. I wonder who they picked in 2013.
I don't know, but I'm sure he's not in I bet it's a quarterback.
I bet you he's not in the NFL anymore.
That's not in the NFL, yeah.
I bet you if he was one of the first 6 picks and he's not in the NFL anymore, he's a bust.
Yeah.
All right, man, let's wrap this thing up. We've been talking for way too long.
All right. We're going to go into shout-outs.
Sure. What you got?
I had one.
Well, go for it.
I got to find it again.
You lost it?
I've lost my shout-out. Shit, Hold on, I got it. Hold on, folks.
I'm holding on. In the meantime, if you want to reach out to the show and talk to us about the NBA playoffs, the NFL draft, baseball, whatever, you can reach the show via email at positivesports10@gmail.com. positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me, you can reach out to me on Twitter at eMontana21. If you want to get a hold of this guy, where do they do that?
Email the show, positivesports10@gmail.com.
Very good. Did you find your shout out?
I did, actually. I did find it. I think it's a good one.
Go for it.
So, my shout out this week goes to someone that goes by the name of Granny Hulk. That's right. No, not the Incredible Hulk. It's Granny Hulk. That's right. A 69-year-old granny sets weightlifting record.
Nice.
Off the beaten path inside a warehouse building in North Little Rock, Arkansas, Sherry Mobley is standing proof that age is only a mindset. She's known as the Granny Hulk, deadlifting 305 pounds and setting records in her class and division.
Nice.
69 years old. If that's not a freaking positive story and uplifting, I don't know what the hell it is, and I need to hit the gym ASAP. Yeah, so shout out to the Hulk Granny.
You don't want to get beat up by by that person.
I thought that was funny when I said
that. That is...
God. That's 305? That's pretty... I mean, that's impressive.
How much can you...
For a 69-year-old male would be impressive.
For a 69-year-old human, right?
Yeah, right.
Anyone.
That's cool.
How much can you bench?
Not 305.
I can bench 305 5 pounds at a time.
Yeah, with like plastic
over the course of a week
with plastic weights.
Yeah, no kidding. Man, oh man.
You gonna give us your shout out?
Yeah, hold on, I'm looking for it.
You're looking for it too. I had
I had lost it.
Oh,
now I got it back. Actually, right. I don't have a shout out.
I had a backup.
So I actually went the old person route as well.
Did you?
Yes.
It can't be Hulk Granny.
No, it's not. It's not. My shout out goes to Eva Barr, who I didn't realize this.
Eva or Eva?
Iva.
Iva.
I
want a bar.
Iva Barr. She was the oldest finisher at the London Marathon on Sunday.
Oh boy, how old?
88 years old.
Jeez.
In a cool 6 hours and change.
That's pretty good. 6 hours?
Yeah, she ran it. She first ran it in 1982.
Whoa.
And now she's still running, still going. 88 years old. She just completed the London Marathon.
That is super impressive because a couple weeks back, you and I and Jay were texting about marathons, and I really believe that I could. 5 would be pushing it. 6, I think I could do a marathon in 6 hours.
Yeah, you could.
I think I could. So for an 80-year-old to do it in 6
88,
hours,
man.
88. Sorry, 6 hours. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
6:30, something like that.
That's not better than Granny Hulk.
Old people rule.
Seriously. Shout out to old people.
Shout out to old people.
Elderly.
I hope mom and dad watch this one.
Did we get mom to bench press?
She couldn't bench 305. Mom couldn't bench
5.
20 pounds at this point.
All right.
Well, anyway, so that brings us to the end of another episode of the Positive Sports Podcast, episode 72.
72.
72. You weren't here last week. Episode
No.
71, I made it about me. It's
That's
my
right.
episode, right?
Yeah.
Because I was born in 1971.
Fair
you
enough.
were not born in 1972, so
No.
this is not your episode.
That makes me feel good. I'm younger.
You're going to have to, well, yeah, you are younger, but it's not your episode. I can't think of a 72. Ed Too Tall Jones,
Okay.
defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys.
My 72 is easy.
Who?
Once a giant, always a giant. O.C. Umenora.
Is that the guy that blew his hand off playing with fireworks?
No, that was JPP.
Oh, that's right.
Jean-Paul Pierre.
Don't play with fireworks, kids. Well, great. If you want to catch the show, make sure you like, subscribe, comment on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, whatever platform you choose to get your podcast experience. And with that, folks, we've come to the end of episode 72 of the Positive Sports Podcast. As always, folks, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity.
Peace.